Suburb Wars, North versus the East. We should call them South. And we're talking about Bronte, we're talking about Tama, we're talking about Freshwater, we're talking about Queenscliff. The difference between the suburbs, which one's better and which one's performed better real estate wise. Stay tuned. Ooh la 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 la.
It's on. Whose side do you go for these days, given that you're actually conflicts of interest?
I'm Switzerland now. I'm Switzerland, dead in the middle, but had some good exposure for 23 years to born and bred in Northern Beaches, and had some good exposure 23 years to Eastern Suburbs, lived there, brought up a family, whilst working on the Northern Beaches. So there's always been this banter, and I'm talking, it's a thing, it's a really big thing, this banter between, the dark side of the bridge and, Northern Beaches, and it's and also it's been quite amusing seeing the performance of these suburbs as well, comparing them to Northern Beaches. Northern Beaches, I think, is going to surprise you with what we give you. Yeah.
It is so funny. You go to a friend's house in the east, and they honestly think you live in Central Coast when you tell them you live in DY. I don't think they realise we're only about 26 minutes away with no traffic.
Well, you know what? So's Bronte and Tama.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If the transport's not that good either. What about Western Suburbs? That's for another day.
Yeah.
That's for another day.
Absolutely.
Morning, Ray. So tell us more, Billy. What do you reckon?
Should we get to the numbers? Should we leave opinions on the side and just get to the numbers?
I want to do opinions first.
Okay. Well,
I want to entertain the good, the bad, and the ugly, because I think it's a really, really interesting. From schools to shops, shopping, to safety, to nightlife, to restaurants. I want to entertain it for a couple of minutes.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you about the day in the life of a 20-year-old on the Northern Beaches. I really enjoy a couple of things that our beaches has to offer. First and foremost, it is a beautiful part of the world. Transport's great. Access into the city's great. Local shops are great. There's nothing really here apart from a train station that I feel we're missing compared to the east. And one of my favourite things is you can still get lunch for $13 in DY. I don't think you can do that in the Eastern Suburbs.
Yeah. I think value-wise, let's face it, you'll get a train into Bondi Junction, but you're not going to get it out of Tama, and you're not going to get it out of Bronte. As a matter of fact, if you're going to drive into the city, I think it'll be a similar drive going from Freshwater to Queenscliff into the city.
Yeah.
But I think the level of the one comment I do get from people that are from the east when they move to the Northern Beaches is it's more of a relaxed, casual atmosphere. Fact, undisputed, it just is.
Slower pace.
A better pace. So I think it's a bit. Who's cooler?
Oh, that would depend on who you ask, for sure.
You live in Freshie.
I do. I love Freshie, and I absolutely love the beaches. To be honest, when I go to the Eastern Suburbs, a little bit like fish out of water, a small fish in a big pond. I don't really like it. I think everyone's a little bit stuck up.
Really?
Yeah. It's like, oh, I live in Bondi. Woo!
One thing that I found living in the east as opposed to the north was the levels of education appeared to be different. And what I mean by that is I went to Cromer High School, and I grew up, got out of school. No one ever asked me what school I went to. Nobody cared. When I ended up in the east for the next 20 odd years, it was one of the first things that come up in conversation, and people would say, little people talk a little bit about, where you're from, what do you do, and then what school did you go to? And I thought that was highly unusual because we never spoke about that. It was a thing, but it's a thing. It's a thing, and I think, and I may be biased, but it seems like the private schools, they're a hell of a lot more expensive, but it seems like the private school standard, in the Northern Beaches, you'll plug your kid into a public school. If not from primary, you'll do it for high school as well. It's what happened to me. Loved it. But it seems in the east, you'll plug your kid into a private school. So I dare to say that the level of education by default may be a little bit higher because people are paying.
Yeah, I think so. And I like what it brings. I think it brings a really nice community together. And those school groups obviously stay a really tight-knit group, which is beautiful.
Yeah, they really do. They really do. Racers have a great day. Lisa's getting defensive. And an old Novak family joke was when I first went over to the east before I moved out. It was like the whole, what school did you go to? I used to say grammar, and it sounded like grammar, as in Sydney boys grammar, but I was saying grammar. Okay, let's look at the high level numbers, and let's transpose this over to property. So these cats, and I do think COVID's been a little bit kind to decentralising. So where people couldn't have done Freshwater or Queenscliff before, or they couldn't have done Bronte or Tama before, because the necessity of going to work, long hours, working in the CBD, I think these 4 suburbs have really prospered since COVID.
Yeah, absolutely. We found a lot of people that only need to now work from the office maybe 2-3 days a week have been able to make the move back and enjoy actually a lifestyle suburb. So anywhere, up and down the coast, and I think it stretches beyond Sydney for, in some cases has benefited from that move. Yeah,
I think so.
But here's the numbers. Let's start with houses. So you can't see the bottom 2 colours, but we've got green is Queenscliff, and we've got the dark reddish colour, the maroon colour is Tama. Very impressive. It's pretty impressive.
So this is going to be a strong stat because these, except for Queenscliff doesn't have as many houses in there, but it's more of a unit suburb. But that's a 10-year capital growth. And what are my colours again?
So Tamaram is leading at the top.
Yeah.
Followed by Bronte.
Yeah.
There's your Eastern Suburbs. And then under that, you've got Queenscliff and Freshie.
Okay, so median price of 5.5, 6 mil for the east, and a median price for the north of 3.5.
Yeah, it's scary how close they are actually in terms of the 2 beach suburbs, almost identical. 2 eastern suburbs, almost identical.
Yeah, they've both really, really tracked. Now, out of interest, percentile-wise, who's been, which one's the red? Tama or
Red one's
Bronte?
Tama. Yeah, Tama. So I've got the numbers
Okay.
here if you want.
Yeah. Well done, Billy Bob. So who's had the most per capita growth over 10 years? I look, and don't get me wrong. I'm going off percentage wise because I can see that they've all performed particularly very similarly. They've sort of tracked each other the whole way.
Well, Bronte's done 170%.
What?
10 years. Yeah.
That's double, and then 70% on top of that. That is massive.
Yeah. And Tamarama's done 177%.
That is nuts.
In 10 years.
Okay, that's 10 years of performance. Irrelevant to the price, just like ranking it on percentage. How's for?
You broke up a tad there. I've got a quick comment. I'm often saying that these oceanfront, waterfront homes in the east are crazy good value, though when comparing to the east. Yeah, it's so funny. We're selling a property at the moment in the northern beaches on the cliff top, and when you compare it to some of these $1 million sales you see online, it's really good value. And I think buyers are making that move now. They'll start to see the value.
All right. So I just cut out just then. I missed you. But so how do we go on freshwater and Queenscliff performance?
Pulling it up now. So that's impressive metrics for the east. Well done. For the
Really?
northern beaches, Queenscliff 147%.
No.
Yeah.
Freshwater?
Freshie trailing closely behind 155%.
Yeah, right. Wow, that's it, guys. That is it. That is it, and that is it. So, if you are, what's Lisa got to say?
We're just chatting about when you look at both ocean fronts, whether that be on the cliff, whether that be on the beach, the value for money, compared to what you get in the east. When you're looking at the north, it's unbelievable.
Well, I think you can confidently say from our graphages that there's almost doubleage there. So your cliff top, instead of your cliff top being 7.5, 8.5 on, it's going to be more like 15, 17 in the east. Anyway, that's the battle of the east and the north. That's a battle of freshwater versus Bronte, and Tama and Queenscliff versus each other. Any questions? Anyone out there? Throw them at us. We'll answer them at a later point. Billy, what do you got to say?
I think we might just have to accept that the east has got the edge on performance. However, if we're talking lifestyle, come and have a look at the north.
Boom. See ya.